sweaty packed subway train, it's that can really dip morale, you know?
It's not a boost.
Yeah, that's one thing the city did not learn if it wants the economy to stay afloat. All of its workers every day feel miserable about what's going on with their lives.
You feel great when you get to work because your 40 minutes in the train was,
Has relaxed you?
passage through Gomorrah.
No, that's what I feel about high
Gotcha.
school.
Oh, like The Office feels amazing?
Yeah, the office
Yeah.
feels great wherever you work.
Like, high school for me was so shot that everything after high school has just been amazing.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, that's my hope for my son who
Yeah, just put him through the meat grinder.
loathes high school.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Okay.
so funny. I do not share that. I mean, I'm certainly not a person who subscribes to the idea that high school was the best time of my life, but I did love every second of it.
Yeah, I liked it.
And then I loved every second of college, and then I loved every second of being in a band for 20 years.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
I love hearing that.
Yeah, high school is fun. Like when I think about high school, I think of it the same way I imagine people who went to like sleepaway camp think about camp.
Mm-hmm.
Hanging out with people, getting to do some math every once in a while is great.
That they just show you how to do.
Yeah, they're like, "Here's how you do it." No, do it. Can you do that? And I'm like, "Yeah, you just told me, dummy. Are you stupider than me? You just told me how to do this math. Watch."
I still have bad dreams in math class. Like,
Oh, I do still have those dreams.
Yeah, those anxiety dreams are, I think, relatively universal for anybody who's gone to school. It seems
Yeah.
to be a format the mind just latches onto.
My nightmare preparedness dreams are always either language courses that I'm showing up for the first time and it's the final exam, or my pedal board like not being connected at all. Like me being like, well, it's time for the show. And then I walk in, I'm like, I didn't even set the pedals up. And for some reason, my pedal board has been disassembled in ways I never
because
would.
it's unrepairable. Like
Yeah.
a pedal board with all those little cables running through.
It's too many
8
small
different
cables.
pedals.
Too many
It's
small
horrifying.
cables.
That is
Yeah.
actually a legitimate fear of mine too. Like something goes wrong mid-show, you ain't fixing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to go 1 amp direct, 1 tone, no nuance.
It's actually incredible that shit doesn't become irreparable more frequently. Like if you put yourself in that stressful mindset, it can become pretty harrowing to think about what we do.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it would be easy for something to break. It's weird that we had a lot of gear issues in the early year or two.
When we had many techs.
We had a bunch of techs around, almost as though they sabotaged things in
to keep
order
their
to
job.
justify their jobs.
Yeah. I'm
But
not.
we weren't fooled. We knew that if we got rid of the techs, we'd get rid of the problems.
Yeah.
And it worked.
and for the most part,
No,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Nothing's
like
gone
you
wrong.
told me that's like made things way easier, which actually is great news for me. Like never really rocking with the crew. It's like you guys have a good model of like, if you just suck it up and do a little bit of like the admin and the tour management yourself, you can streamline it a bit more, and it actually can make things easier.
Yeah, I think it does. If you're willing to take on some level of, constant responsibility, which is required if you don't have a tour manager.
Yeah.
It can be, I mean, just the smaller your touring party is, the easier you can make decisions like where you want to eat or what you want to do on a day off or whatever. I mean, everybody knows the feeling of being with like a group of 6 people out at night.
Right.
And it's like, which restaurants should we go? And like no real plan. It's fucking
Man,
awful.
Fred-
You're lumbering around like this
Yeah.
amoeba of
Fred
6
Armisen, the comedian Fred Armisen, has a pretty good joke that he does live. He does a like live comedy show that's all musician jokes, and a bit that really stays with me that I think about often, even though I imagine we're a much more aligned band than most groups are, where it's a short 1-act stage play he performs where he wakes up, the band is crashing on someone's floor, and he wakes up and he's like, oh, nobody else is up, I'm just gonna pop out and get some breakfast. And as he's like walking out the door, another band member is like, oh, Fred, you going to breakfast? Hold on, give me 1 second, I'm just gonna shower and then I'll come with you. And he's like, oh, but I just don't want to. And then like the third person's like, oh, I want to come too, but first I have to call my mom. And then, oh, I wanted to go to this bagel place downtown. And the other person's like, I can't do bagels, I'm gluten free. We should go to, yeah. And then like 12 people
Very
get
big,
involved.
yeah.
And he is starving.
Yeah.
It starts with him being really hungry. He wakes up and he's like, I'm so hungry.
You can imagine Fred Armisen, you know,
I can't
impish.
travel with any more than one other person.
Yeah, it's
like
pretty-
maximum. And they have to be able to like go crusty, live on a budget, and like be able to go off on their own. Because I can't. I'm too much
You
of
need
a
alone
weirdo.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We really enjoy our 3-person.
Yeah.
The 3-person version of We Are Scientists touring.
Pretty streamlined.
It's
Yeah.
really fun.
yeah.
And we all like similar things, so it's
We will go to that movie.
we like
That's
movies.
for sure.
We like we
Yeah.
like nice restaurants sometimes, and shitty but good restaurants most of the time. And we like bars.
Yeah.
And we like being in the city.
Like a hike.
We
And
like
we
a
also
hike.
like sitting in the city.
Yeah.
Well, your drummist, Keith Karn, is like a real restaurant connoisseur, which, we went out, he took us out for Italian last time I was here, and like the way he talks about food, hopefully we didn't talk about this already, but he's just like so passionate, and he's like, you gotta try the linguine triple sonic ravioli from Milan. It comes with this sauce, and he's like, I don't know what he's talking about, but his excitement gets me pumped about food, that like, oh, maybe I could be like a foodie guy someday.
Yeah. It's like when Keith talks about Tesla.
Yeah, you gotta
The 80s
try
band.
Tommy Shaw's solo on Edison's Medicine.
I came around a little bit. I came around.
I thought you meant his deep passion for Elon Musk's
Oh,
car
no,
company.
No. Although I do think he's getting a raw deal just because his
the
windows
press.
break when he says they won't. Or the automatic driving does drive people directly off of cliffs. First thing it seems like, right?
That's how it
Can we get in
starts.
trouble that I exposed this?
No, I think it had to be said. Enthusiasm goes a long way to making a situation fun, whatever it is. You go to a gallery exhibit of a painter, and your friend is super into them, and they're, spewing love all over the room. That's going to be a more memorable experience than if you just walk in off the street. So going to any restaurant with Karn
Yeah.
is more enjoyable than if you went by yourself.
Yeah, it's like you need to hear like a song in the right context too. Like you might hear a song by yourself one day and be like, yeah, it's an all right song. But you hear it 5 years later, and you're riding with your girlfriend or your buddy who's obsessed with it, and you just drank the appropriate amount of caffeine, and the sun's out, and you're like, this is my new favorite song. It's just
Yeah.
it's all environment, and it's interesting. I often wonder like label guys, back when I would pitch labels and like thought that was the answer to like my music career, I started to think about like timing. I was like, okay, when is like Overlord guy at Sub Pop at the peak of his caffeine?
Oh,
That's
right.
when I'll send it, and
Yeah.
that never works.
I need
but-
this guy highly susceptible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There was that. There's I guess you could probably call it a meme at this point, that originates in probably fairly sophisticated research by the Israeli behaviorist guys that won a Nobel Prize. I can't remember their names. But one of the things that they revealed from their studies is like time of day for that there's a huge difference in what time what's the word? Someone on trial, not suspect. What do you call
Defendant?
Yeah. What time a defendant sees a judge has a huge effect on their sentencing. And
Oh man, I bet that's true. Yeah.
yeah, so like after lunch is good and first thing in the morning is good. But
Right.
right before lunch is the worst time.
Yeah.
And the end of the day is
Blood
pretty
sugar
bad,
low.
too.
Wow.
It's
blood
bad,
sugar.
bad
Things
vibe.
like that really affect what should be fairly logical
No, that makes so much sense.
decisions. Yeah.
I got a buddy who's an orthopedic surgeon, and he was telling me one day he let his guard down. I think we were maybe had a beer or two, and he's like, they work me to the bone, Newski. Like, I see like 41 patients a day. Like,
Holy shit.
there's no way I can get all these knee surgeries right. It's like
Yeah.
at 2 p.m. after a cheeseburger. Like, I'm like just like poking around in a guy's knee. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So when my dad had a couple surgeries, I'm like, you gotta go in the morning at the peak of the guy's coffee, the
Yeah.
lady's coffee.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, being an adult does not make me feel good about all the performances I need out of other adults.
No.
You know,
Well, this is why.
I mean, even just thinking about like how differently I feel about particular We Are Scientists performances night by night. I'm thinking like, man, I hope my orthopedic surgeon never has a show like I just had.
Was there a notable bad Keith Murray performance this year?
Not particularly. No, I've never had a bad performance in my life.
And how much?
I mean, it's affecting the quality of the performance in the eye of the audience is something like whether there's alcohol at the show. I was going to note that as a show example of how a show can really suffer based on context. Sometimes you play like a college campus and they're like, it's a dry show, by the way. Or
like a seated show.
Yeah.
Whew.
It's seated and dry. We're in a dry county. You're like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. None of us should be here, and I mean in this county.
We shouldn't do this.
Do you have on a dry show? Do you smuggle in your own beverages?
Yes.
And drink them in the van.
They'll almost always let you drink like backstage or in the van. It's more the concern that the audience is going to be stone cold sober.
Yeah, they are not vibing in any way.
Yeah, it's kind of like I think if the other day we were talking about suspension of disbelief during theatrical performances and movies. And
wait, what? Suspension of disbelief during
just
theatrical
like
performances and movies?
when you go to a play, it can be hard for some of us to forget that we're watching, adults cavort about on stage in front of an audience while they're pretending to be, a Shakespearean general or whatever. And obviously in movies, you inherently are aware that there are film cameras shooting this, but it's easier to forget that because they're not visible to you, whereas an audience is right there. But even still, a lot of people probably don't really do movies very well because they're like, this is silly, this is adults play acting. Similarly, an audience that hasn't had any alcohol, I think, fails to get into the right sort of mindset to appreciate a rock and roll show where we're, at least our style of music, where we're like, this is exciting. This is
it
fun.
not? Come on.
Yeah,
Come on.
Great.
Yeah.
And I think if you're, I can imagine a very sober-minded viewer kind of being like, this is their 5,000th show. There's no way they love it. This is, they're kind of, I appreciate they've riled themselves up or whatever, but come on, this isn't, I think you need, and you, as a performer, you feed on an audience who is willing to suspend the disbelief and to go there with you.
There is reciprocity.
Yeah, you can like build on each other.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't believe how much fun you guys have on stage every night. Like, I mean, I've only seen you play 12 times, but still, you didn't look like you weren't having fun.
They were
any of
also the last 12 times we played. So if any shows should have been joyless, it would be, these late ones.
No, I disagree. I think when you can see light at the end of the tunnel is when it's the most fun.
Well, I'm just saying at this point, if we were not going to be having fun, it would be now. Having done it so many times, every time you do it, I guess the likelihood of novelty existing in it,
diminishes.
Diminishes.
Yeah,
fair point.
Yeah. But obviously, we probably passed a threshold long ago where it was clear that novelty was not what was necessary for us, at least in that sense.
Not to expose the back end here, but do you guys? It seems like you have your set list, and then you have your audible slots where you can slot in songs that kind of invigorate new novelty and joy into the set. Have you ever done a tour where you just switch the set every single night and do a more Modest Mouse, I don't know what's gonna happen now?
What was we just had a would you rather question about this the other day, and one of the options was to play it. Oh, was it would you rather play a set without having a drink,
or no
with
set
no
list
set
at all?
list?
Yeah,
which would make for a worse show?
I definitely think not having a drink. 100%.
That'd be a fun
100%.
I know how you talk about hating one-off shows. I do too. But that'd be a fun little one-off theme. The first and last ever We Are Scientists show with no set list, and you just wing it.
Yeah.
As a band who likes improv, having just like a completely unhinged, no plan set. I think that could really work out for you.
Well, so actually, the way that the Would You Rather was framed was not Would You Rather. It was which would make for the worst show for the audience. And so
Which is its own would you rather.
yeah, that's right. Would you rather give it this kind of show or this kind of show?
Yeah.
Obviously, we always want the audience to enjoy it. So, yeah, I think from a personal standpoint, of course, getting to have a few drinks and then just randomly stumble through 2 hours of songs or whatever would not be that painful, but it might be a pretty bad show.
Yeah.
So the question was, would playing the set list sober be better than getting to have the medicine, but having to, probably have some pretty long pauses while you try to remember songs? Because also one of the terms was that we can't have a list of printed songs up there.
You have to think of a song that you can play now.
Yeah. We have to remember songs that we know.
Could you have like all the backs of your albums laid out in front of you?
No,
No.
you cannot have a
No
prompt.
cues.
And no audience yelling.
Well, the problem is if you wanted to allow the audience to yell, you could, but there's so many songs that you just wouldn't be prepared to play.
Yeah.
So there'd be a lot of like, oh, sorry, no, don't know that one either.
I think it would rule.
and a lot of like, I think I know how that goes on. I'll give us
maybe.
6 minutes to hash out how this goes.
You could implement bombing into a show and people would love it, though. I feel like that would work for what you guys do.
Could work or it could be disastrous. I
Yeah.
don't know. What do you? You're a little less. Like I feel like you probably sometimes do play sober without really sweating it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've done some sober tours, which definitely are not as fun.
Yeah.
Where I just wasn't in a good headspace to be having beverages all the time. But
Right.
most of the time, I like to have a few beers before I go on, or one beer, and then I'll have one or two after.
Yeah. Something to loosen it up a
But
little bit.
yeah, I mean, I do remember playing really well sober.
Mm-hmm.
Like being able to like come up with new kind of shit, new angles, even.
right.
But I feel like the banter suffered maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're trying to land at the perfect nexus of precision and passion.
Yes.
And if we played sober, I'm sure we would play a recordable performance.
Yeah, it would be more precise.
But would it be as dynamic?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Would
when
the
you're-
audience get a moment where I fall down and they wonder if he's getting back up? And the murmur, like rushes through the
That
crowd.
tension.
Tension.
Is
Tension
so
and
dramatic.
release are key to a great show.
What happened at that San Francisco show where you were like in a jam session and like some drunk tech bro is in the front row like, quit jamming and finish the song, and then you like leaned down mid guitar solo and you were like, sounds like you don't know how music works, little man, or something like that, and they chucked a beer at you.
Then I took him outside and I beat him to hell. Yeah, do you guys remember that
No,
part?
you forgot to
don't
do
remember
that.
Yeah.
I think you just.
Damn
I think
it.
you planned to.
Yeah,
There's
right.
one thing Keith Murray's known for, it's fighting.
It's fighting.
Yeah, scrapping.
Fighting.
I call it scrapping because it seems less likely that you'll
legal
be
issues.
arrested. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were just scrapping, officer.
That
Yeah, you
weren't,
said
Nothing I can do about that.
weren't but a scrap.
Yeah, no law in the books against scrapping, right?
don't
Show
think so.
Show me where it says
Not in those words.
scrapping.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys were saying the San Francisco show was like one of your least favorite on that run out west. Was that just because of the beer throw, or just too many?
I think part of it was just having a high standard for San Francisco
Yeah.
that was not met at that show.
It was, for context, it was the day before Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's always bad.
And
It's
San
always bad to play
Francisco
then, yeah.
itself seemed pretty dead that day.
Yeah.
Emptied out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a fairly vibeless show.
Yeah. I don't blame SF in
Yeah.
general. I think if we'd done it 2 weeks later, it would have been a pretty different gig.
Yeah. Same with LA. That was a tough weekend.
Yeah, that was a tough
Day
weekend.
after
weekend.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Maybe we should
But
have played
Matt
on
Sharp
Thanksgiving.
came.
That would have been good. Matt Sharp did come.
We got your boy Matt.
And he showed up.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. This just got R-rated.
There's no. We didn't set up the context. We're in the back of a Irish bar in Manhattan.
That's
And
true.
the bartender you kind of know because she's your neighbor who you just found out like now. And she's like,
Kind of know is a strong description of my relationship.
she
She
said-
knows I'm her neighbor.
You learned that. tonight.
Yeah, I learned that.
okay.
Yeah,
But she
as,
turned out-
at the interaction.
No,
Yeah.
we're podcasting next to a large family here ready to party. So
Yeah, a party family.
Yeah.
Do you know where she lives? Does she live in that big building on the corner?
I have no idea.
apartment building?
No, we didn't really get to the. I asked her.
She said
just trying to be
something.
friendly. Oh, she did respond to my query about where she
But
was.
she gave
Well,
you
she
some
said she
piece
knew
of
Guy Apple.
context, right? Oh, she's a friend of
yeah,
Guy's.
yeah.
I see. Yeah. So that narrows it down to half the city.
Yeah, that's pretty, and that's everyone in Greenpoint. It's half of New York City, everyone in Greenpoint.
Certainly including all of Greenpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. You met Guy Apple.
Guy Apple, photographer.
Photographer,
Is he the guy who found the dead body with Sharon Van Etten?
Yes.
Nice.
I don't know if that's
All back from the
public
last
knowledge, but
episode.
yeah.
No, it was on the last episode of the pod because we were talking about
Oh,
finding
I
dead bodies.
already exposed this.
Yeah,
Maybe
you
not public
exposed
knowledge.
that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that came up in
Well,
the
then,
dead body
yes, I can
discussion.
confirm. I can confirm.
Guy Apple. I don't think he's implicated in anything.
The cops let him off after that. He did have like an
They
okay
grilled
alibi.
him.
They had an okay alibi.
He's a sketchy character. You're
Yeah.
gonna look at Guy if
Who's the
there's a-
first?
if
Yeah.
there's a body.
Can you imagine rocking up to this city with like a cool British accent like he has? Like how many doors just opened by having a cool British accent in America?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
And his wife has a great French accent as well. So they
Whoa.
are just the couple du jour.
Yeah, the French accent's pretty unprecedented.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat. Yeah. How do you find the Midwest accent goes over internationally?
Well,
do people
now-
even like? Does someone in Italy know that you're from the Midwest, or they just know you're American?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they could pick
not-
out the Midwest. I mean, now I think the Midwest has been really uncool for as long as I've been alive.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like cool in a weird way, and like the Midwest accent is kind of like,
Yeah.
you know,
Fargo
ironic. Yeah,
kind of
maybe that's it.
originated
Like,
this, and then
it's-
the successful TV show, and
It's a goofy accent, but it's like an accent you can trust, and it's modest, and it's not like
friendly
a
sounding.
valley girl accent or a coastal like
Yeah.
harsh British accent. So it's pretty
Yeah.
disarming. As unsexy as it is, I think it's like it's good. It's disarming. You know, you talk through your nose, and
yeah.
people are like, "Oh, that guy sounds funny."
Yeah, it sounds friendly and honest, I guess. Like
It
doesn't
certainly
sound like
doesn't
there's a-
sound like you're trying to intimidate.
right or trick.
Yeah.
There's a big comedian out of Wisconsin now who I haphazardly went to grade school with for 2 years.
Who's that?
His name's Charlie Behrens, but he's gotten like just massive notoriety and like national and international acclaim, and he's kind of like the voice of Wisconsin comedy as far as like he does skits like being the Wisconsin guy. Like he'll be a Wisconsin guy going and ordering a hipster coffee and then he'll have an interaction with like a hip barista with a twirly mustache. That just this cultural kind of comedic collision. Or so he's gotten quite big, and he's been kind of like a spokesperson for, I guess, the Midwest accent,
Yeah.
as well as, well, I guess, Fargo, the film, and other notable pop culture things, perhaps. A lot of like murderer shows are based in the Midwest, it seems like.
That's where most murders occur.
Yeah,
Midwest had a lot
It's
of-
true.
Sorry,
Is
I was
it?
under
Yeah.
the impression that that's where the murders
I
happen.
guess, yeah.
Is
Well,
that not?
Ed Gein killed like a distant relative of mine.
Oh, that's
Really?
cool.
Yeah, like a great aunt's great uncle or something made a
Celebrity
lampshade out of him.
murders. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
I got scene cred.
Yeah, Keith's a little starstruck, I'd
Yeah,
imagine.
wait a minute.
You a
we're
big
gonna
Gein
talk
guy?
more about this later.
He's gonna want all those details.
Gein the dream.
Yeah.
What do you think Ed Gein would have said if he knew Texas Chainsaw Massacre was going to be such a wonderful film?
Was it based on him?
Yeah,
Nice.
Because
and
he,
Psycho.
did he do the he did the mask
He
thing?
was a big skin man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
He appreciated the skin.
he
was-
appropriated and appreciated.
Oh, wait, it
an
was-
epidermophile.
yeah.
There's Silence of the Lambs, the Wild Bill. Didn't he make
Buffalo
the skin?
Bill,
Buffalo Bill.
please.
He made the skin suit. That was based off Ed Gein too.
Sure was.
Damn.
Wow. So is Ed Gein really the only skin guy? But that's just such a cool thing that
he's-
lots of different
so
yeah,
cool.
bad guys do
he's
it.
Sadly, he's probably not the only skin guy, but he's the famous skin guy.
Got it.
And he's the Texas skin guy.
gets all
is
the
probably-
cred.
Yeah.
No, he was Wisconsin.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
Ed
yeah.
Gein was?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Plainfield,
Damn, Wisconsin has the Hall of Fame.
Who else you
Yeah, we got Dahmer,
Dahmer.
Jeff.
got? I've heard
Oh,
of
I always
him.
thought Ed Gein was Texas.
No, Plainfield,
Because
Wisconsin.
of Teesaw Massacre.
Yeah, I guess so.
They claimed him. It's like the Mormons claiming Anne Frank.
I got buddies who rock up to Wisconsin, and they want
They
me
do,
to.
you
What do
know
you
that?
mean? No, wait,
The
talk to me
Mormons
about
claim
this.
dead people. They baptize people into their faith for baptize is the wrong word, but they
Incorporate.
they
Indoctrinate.
well they believe it's possible to I'm using the wrong nomenclature here,
Right.
but you can claim dead. So, for example, to give an example of maybe a more pure and less controversial example, let's say you had a great grandfather. Let's say you're a Utah and you're a Mormon, but your grandparents moved to Utah and you're a big Mormon family, you love it, but your great grandparents lived in Alabama or whatever.
And so we're not.
You
Right.
can, again, I'm going to use the word baptize incorrectly here, but you can bring them into the Mormon faith.
What are the hurdles to getting this done? What's stopping Mormons from just making everybody
blanket
and being like
every dead
literally
person.
100% of the human population has been Mormon?
That's an interesting question, and so I think there must be a little bit of they must have set up their own obviously artificial hurdles to make it somewhat
Maybe
special,
artificial.
to make it somewhat
allegedly
special.
artificial. Yeah.
Possibly actual requirements to converting. Well, conversion, I think.
Gotcha,
Is,
there you go.
Yeah,
Right.
sorry, is at least the
Yeah.
better layman term. But they somewhat famously and controversially were found out converting a bunch of basically just famous historical figures. Like,
What does that mean?
and it's
what end?
and it's kind of like, who cares, right? Because it's just fiction. It's just in
Yeah.
their fucking minds and their books. But it offended. I think the Anne Frank thing. The anti-Jewish
That
defamation league
seems pretty coarse.
came up in
Yeah.
arms. Were like, you fucking
That
do
seems
not
pretty coarse,
claim her,
yeah.
you motherfucker. They were like, she exhibited a fucking bravery, etc. that we admire very much. We think she
We
make a
invented
She is
bravery.
now a Mormon. Yeah,
We're
I'm
proud to say she is a Mormon.
Well, you grew up
Oh,
in
wow.
Utah, and I know you're not Mormon, but did you
Yeah.
witness any weird Mormon stuff growing up in Utah?
I didn't witness anything weirder than I've witnessed anywhere else in the world, to be honest. In general, I found Mormons to be pretty cool. And I had a lot of friends who grew up Mormon who were, maybe not so much practicing Mormons when I knew them. But there was the phenomenon in Utah. You'll always know people who have kind of fled the religion. And that seems to be a big deal in a way that for me to just have stopped being a First Baptist, which is
Right.
what my mom raised me as, like that didn't require any formal announcement on my part. I just kind of stopped going
There's
to
just
church.
tisking from your parents.
It's like-
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, oh, well, he's getting
Right.
older. I don't know. Who cares? With Mormonism, there does seem to be an integration with society that does require some amount of announcing it, making it official with your church, and then some backlash from a certain portion of your friends. And then there could also be friends who are like, well, I don't care. That's never what I liked about you anyway. But you have lots of those stories in Utah. You know a lot of people who have left the church or whose kids left the church and they're distraught.
Yeah.
In a way that you just don't, like, that's not a
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
At least, Elizabeth grew up Catholic. I don't know anyone who has any such religion stories
That's
around
Chris's
Catholicism.
wife. Who don't?
Yeah.
Those of you who don't know.
Yeah.
Editor's note. That's Chris's wife. Yeah.
That's right.
She popped in for like maybe 7 minutes here to say hi, which is very cool. But I love how she's like, "Oh, you guys got to work. All right, I'll run." But it's funny that your job is this.
This is important work, she said.
Huge.
And it's
I've
so
always
cool
regarded
she-
this as important
Yeah.
work, and tonight shall be no different.
For me to acknowledge otherwise now would bring the whole house of
And the
cards.
fact that she respects this
crashing
as your
down.
job is incredible.
She's
awesome.
she's a very good
Legend.
lady. Yeah.
At the very least, she's accepted that it's going to happen. And so, what good would it do to cause a stink about this level of, debauched
Employment.
behavior? Yeah.
Yeah. Too late to make a stand.
Yeah, come on.
Really.
You guys feel like one more beverage?
Yeah, of course.
All right, you carry on. I'll make
Wait,
a beer
it's
run.
our turn. It's our turn to.
I'll put it on
It's our
the tab.
round.
Okay, put it on.
Yeah.
Put it on the band tab. I'm gonna. Hey, Newski, I'll switch back to the previous, the Bit Burger.
Me too. Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I love the variety.
God, it's just
I
my
like to keep my taste buds. guessing.
palate is sensitive enough that it wants to be jazzed. I can tell the difference between a lager and a pilsner. A lot of people can't.
A lot of people will sit there, cross-eyed, dumbly accepting whatever
Yeah.
pale, clear beer you hand them.
I once did a
Not me.
taste test with a former band member of We Are Scientists. I won't name,
Okay.
there've been enough that I don't
Yeah.
have to name. Where I gave him a bowl of salsa verde,
Okay.
and a pilsner,
Uh-huh.
and asked him which one the pilsner was.
Oh, I know who this is. Yeah.
He guessed wrong 8 times
Straight?
Yeah.
So that's not even random.
I started
he just
thinking.
thinks Pilsner's a different thing.
Yeah, I was actually wondering if I was pronouncing it weirdly or something.
Yeah. He should have it should have been at least 4 and
Yeah.
4 and 5. Or
I mean,
whatever.
I'd like to think if I'd run the test 100 times, it would have ended up even. I didn't have that kind of time. We were late for the set.
You can flip 9 tails in a row.
Mm-hmm.
It can be that kind of weird shit happens.
You don't have to like it, but
No. Man, Newski. We should take this opportunity to talk a bunch of shit
Yeah.
about Newski.
to dirt talk him.
Yeah. You want to talk about dirt from the road? Here's some dirt about your precious Newski. I know he goes through and edits these, but maybe he won't catch. Maybe he won't catch if we tell some of the truly.
That's the dirt. Isn't that dirt enough?
Fucking
that
edits
his
this shit.
his news is curated to his specifications. Here he goes. Here he is.
That.
Oh, it's never good when a table gets quiet once you roll up all this.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Shut up! There's Buddy.
That's a gorgeous
The
pint.
beers are here's.
Yeah, they are.
That's what Newski said, not me. I wouldn't.
Oh,
I wouldn't have coined it.
paraphrasing.
I'm parroting
You're
Newski.
straight up parroting.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Minor Bird is actually the great mimic.
Well, I'm parroting.
Right. So you're
It's not
doing,
perfect. It's
not-
imperfect, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't do the accent or nothing. Minor
Why
Bird
do
did
you
the accent.
Why do you think another word for impersonation is aping? Are apes particularly good at conforming themselves to another's
I don't think
behavior?
that they necessarily copycat super automatically, although they, a lot of lab apes get taught to copy
the
sounds
hard
to
way.
learn.
The hard way.
But I think it's more the idea that apes are
Can reperform.
They have like a
Yeah.
I think it's the mischievous quality.
Oh.
I think aping probably originally involved more of a mockery overtone. Parrot doesn't involve a mockery overtone. I think aping maybe does. Although
Word you made up?
like to ape something.
Yeah,
I never heard of
Yeah,
that.
aping. He was aping.
You don't say that in
No.
In Wisconsin.
We don't have that one in Wisconsin.
But you would
It's
say
regional.
you would say to parrot.
No, I
something,
never
right?
heard that
What?
either.
Come on.
Talking about parroting something.
That's a coastal thing, I think.
I don't know if
Using
coastal
animals.
elites say we're aping.
Just casually
Yeah.
using animals that way. That is very, very elite. Well, now I feel kind of bad. Invoking these noble creatures
Shit.
as fucking metaphors. Mere metaphors.
I mean,
They've
I
been
would
reduced. Yeah.
yeah.
I would pay substantial money to hang out with like a chimp or an ape if I was guaranteed
It
they weren't
will
gonna
rip your arms
If
off,
it was
yeah.
guaranteed to not rip my arms off,
What
I know
about
It
that's
will
never-
eat your nose
What about your genitals?
and your genitals. Then it will. Yeah.
That'd be dope. I don't know.
I mean, you gotta fucking hand it to chimpanzees that their attack strategy,
They
so
understand.
so much harder than the hardest fucking
Yeah.
Street Fighter. They just do the
Straight
they
to
do
the
the
face.
They do the fingers, the
Yep.
genitals. Like there's
Is that what they're known
and
for?
you're cooked.
Yeah.
They
And
check-
you're cooked.
That's what they
Wow.
do.
Yeah.
That's what they fucking do. That's what they do to each other.
He is out,
Damn.
and yeah, talk about
Bite off the
talk about a
fingers.
TKO.
They know how to fucking.
Even if
put
that guy,
you
even if
down.
the enemy's
Whoa.
still
Guys.
standing.
Yeah,
Yeah, look, if the judges say he's lost,
he's done.
his nose, fingers, and genitals are gone.
Yeah.
That guy lost.
You don't have to bother
the ape,
killing.
the chimp won.
It's actually better not
Who's
to
the
kill.
friendliest primate?
The bonobo is the.
Oh, yeah.
The bonobo is the one that is famous for fucking constantly.
But
That is
they're, like,
that's a friendly action.
That's the
Very
friendliest.
often, yeah,
it can
ideally,
also-
yeah.
it can have an unfriendly side to
But
it.
they're like the closest to humans, I think. Bonobo.
I think chimps are the closest DNA wise. Yeah, chimps are the.
Bonobos are like massive, right? They're like huge.
I don't know if they're as big as a chimp. I
thought
think.
they
Yeah,
were
I picture
bigger.
them being smaller.
Really?
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I picture them as being like a large monkey.
Because we're 98% bonobo or something, like 98% chimp. Isn't that something?
I think 98. I think chimps and us are 98% overlap.
Wow. We should be better friends, us and chimps.
Yeah.
They're in zoos. We're free. It's not good.
I mean, they are the best examples of human ape. Buddies are all chimps, right? I guess there's who's the cool ape that was Coco or something?
I
Oh,
remember
yeah, yeah.
that. Viral ape.
Yeah, Coco
Yeah.
was a viral ape before internet. That
Coco was the kitten-loving ape,
Loved
right?
that kitten, yeah.
Who knew ASL.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think apes whatever that guy was. What kind
It was
of
a
ape?
gorilla, I
A gorilla,
believe.
yeah. Those guys are a little more peaceable. I mean, I think they are still relatively violent, but
As long as you don't get a silverback over there, you're
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
well, so gorillas are vegetarians, I believe. Maybe they eat insects as well. They're
Yeah.
insectivore vegetarians.
They
Same as
love-
you.
Yeah, yeah. I will stick a blade of grass down an anthill and take my winnings. That's natural. Yeah, come on.
That's planet Earth.
Who wouldn't?
But
Yeah.
chimps will eat meat. Chimps are omnivores,
Right.
Like humans.
Yeah.
Like they'll eat a squirrel, strip its spine strip all the meat right off the spine with its cool teeth.
How are
That's cool.
Just like a human.
I mean, I feel like now we're veering into, just postulating on shit we have not studied. How are gorillas so ripped?
Oh
Eating, eucalyptus leaves. Are,
That's
they,
a
are they
great-
pandas?
Let's talk
What are
about
they?
a fucking rhino.
What are they?
Great question.
Rhinos are vegetarians. Hippos are vegetarians.
Where are they getting this
Yeah,
caloric input?
But Murray has a point. Like that's an unprecedented amount of ripped muscle per capita that
yeah,
the
these guys
gorilla
are
has.
gorillas
just
are
eating grass.
carved, crap.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Carved.
I mean-
rhino is just plated. Who knows what's going on under there?
Yeah, they're very strong. They can ram. They can push
They're
over
heavy.
vans.
They're heavy.
Yeah.
Rhinos
have-
aren't
they have
aggressive,
force.
are they? Or they're
They
Rhinos?
can be
pretty
very aggressive.
Yeah,
They're not as
yeah.
bad as They're not as
Hippos
scary
are
like
the,
hippos.
hippos are the
but,
worst guy you're gonna meet.
and also vegetarian. Although they also
But
swallow
they
a
will
bunch of
bite you in
shit,
half.
Too.
They'll bite you in half, and you think they're not going to
They
swallow
don't
that?
eat- I don't know. Yeah, they maybe inadvertently.
They
All right, if you
drop
could
it out.
play with a dangerous safari animal, baby or puppy, what would you pick?
I mean, a baby hippo is a pretty
Baby
cute
hippo
little
would be
fucker.
great.
Oh yeah, I think probably some kind of primate because I would expect a little bit of reciprocity in the relationship.
It will show affection. Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I like the idea of it of me at least tricking myself into thinking that it's like understanding what's going on, understanding the hang.
Yeah.
All babies are.
I think baby hippos. I watch a lot of baby hippo videos on
Okay.
Instagram, and
Yeah.
they seem pretty affectionate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. What? And then people feed them fucking grilled cheese sandwiches and shit.
I don't know what they eat.
Yeah,
but
they'll give them Magnolia cupcakes and stuff. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
That's amazing. I do want to watch that.
I mean, if you're ever in a bad mood, there's nothing better than different animals cuddling with each other, like a monkey rubbing a little baby duck or something on the
Yeah.
head. It's just
I do always
brings me much
slightly worry that when the camera cuts, the chimp is pulling that duck apart.
Yeah.
It's savvily edited
Yeah.
to keep us from seeing the
I
harsh
second guess
realities.
those videos.
That's a legit worry, but
comfortable.
also like there's so many bunnies cuddling like squirrels and like like
But-
little hippos cuddling a rhino.
I feel like
want to
the
believe
message. I feel like the message of those videos is like, isn't the non-human world such a beautiful and peaceful place?
Not
and we
true.
know for a fact that's not
Yeah,
the case.
I mean, I think
Like,
I think the actual takeaway is you can break almost any animal.
right. Spirits are breakable
Yeah,
across the animal
yeah.
kingdom. That's not unique to humans. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly not capturing these videos in the wild. They're at some guy's farm, some
Yeah.
Florida man who owns
Yeah.
exotic pets. in his
Everybody's
yard.
raised in captivity.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a Komodo dragon purring next to it. Yeah.
I mean, people forget like how many dinosaurs are actually on the planet right now. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Komodo
Although-
dragons, crocodiles. I mean, the list is maybe relatively
crocodilians,
short, but
yeah,
it's not
Are
too
incredible.
short. Yeah.
They're
I
incredible.
mean,
and they're
sharks
successful.
have been around
Yeah,
forever.
free dinosaur.
Yeah.
Backing up very slightly, I'm revising my take on those videos because I wonder if the message is actually that once accepting the notion that probably all the participants are born in captivity and thus have been spared.
It's like
you know,
desperation
the
is
grueling
removed.
gauntlet
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
nature. Is that the message? Just that, and probably any human being who
A real
lived in
argument
total
for
desperation.
socialism.
Yeah, or just- yeah,
we'll all
just-
get along if it's
Yeah.
if equity, a Komodo dragon and a duck will happily coexist. Yeah. So long as you give
Snuggle.
that Komodo dragon other duck meat,
He
the
does.
living duck won't get consumed.
He does
yeah.
need some meat, but
Yeah.
he probably doesn't care if it's impossible meat or
might. I
lab
think he
grown.
might.
What about the lab grown stuff?
Oh yeah, he'd
That
eat
shit's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really bummed at how slowly that is progressing in terms of because it's there scientifically. It's just still super expensive
Right.
per like calorie, so it's not yet a real solution to people who want that amino acid package, but like Komodo dragons.
Yeah.
But that should be a huge science focus. Like
No
what a,
shit, yeah.
What a solve that will be. Take
mean-
animal cruelty off the board, at least human originating.
Environmental damage. Yeah.
Environmental damage of fucking livestock. Like, yeah.
I mean, as long as like the overlords, the corpo overlords, don't get their dirty little mitts in the.
Let them get the
the
profit
ingredients.
from this. Let them have the profit from this. I guess is what we need to do. Like, all right, you fucking.
It's
don't worry,
yours,
it's the
it's
same.
yours.
Yeah, but what
Yeah.
if like
We'll get to
what if
profit.
big fructose corn syrup like gets in a meeting with fake animal meat guy and is like, hey, here's 48 billion, just slip a half a percentage of fructose.
It should always be
in your
glazed.
formula.
Yeah.
It should always
Yeah.
be
Can
Can you
glazed.
make it
Glazed
so
fructose.
you need
Yeah.
fructose in order to create this shit?
Think about how many GOP, how many do the deals there are under the table that are just
yeah.
80 years permanent after that, or
Yeah,
100
yeah.
years permanent.
Yeah, like generations.
Just because like a couple guys in a boardroom like were there without a lawyer, and they're just like, just sign that right there, real quick.
It's pretty horrible, yeah, how many people can be held hostage to little private agreements like that. It's a terrifying quality of society.
I mean, we think about, it's easy to, be like, fuck the man and like, fuck big pharma. But if you think about like how these massive, life-changing, horrible things have like taken wave and like swept over like millions and billions of people, it's like it was just probably a couple guys in a room at one point who were good at sales and convinced the other guy to just sign here on the dotted line, and now there's forever never cane sugar in the Coca-Cola ever again for as long as humans live in America.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm sure many things that affect our lives are the result of a couple of dudes in a room making a choice that profits them both, and that shit just sticks around forever and ever. One promising quality of AI would be the ability to cut through all of those very human benefits and, look at all kinds of striations of social, like, setups.
Really
But-
really
that have
interesting.
sort-
Yeah.
that
But
have
you'll still need the
calcified.
capital behind those decisions, and that will
For a
affect-
while. But couldn't AI, once they get sentient enough, couldn't they just run the show? And maybe AI would be phenomenally more fair than humans.
I think that's
yeah.
that's like one of the basic assumptions of AGI as a desirable entity, like the idea that you could remove
GI?
general intelligence, artificial general intelligence, meaning something that's able not just to specifically focus on, gorging itself on a billion documents and spitting up combinations of letters in response to whatever input you give,
Okay.
but has something more approaching the human brain that can, take a general set of inputs like the real world and respond intelligently. Right now, all AIs are either geared toward graphics or language or math. I mean, we've had math AIs for a long time, but something like a human that is able to, simply because you set the rules that it's not allowed to consider profit or whatever, which everybody, if they have to be above board while they agree to this, like everyone's going to be like, yeah, of course, yes, all the fairness things we all swear fealty to in public, but then I mean, this is the problem with politics, right? Everybody says the right things in public, but then clearly does other shit as soon as the fucking microphones are turned off. So the idea of an AI is like, all right, we're programming it with this, right? And everyone's like, yes.
and the printout will, be in public. Yeah.
And then it's in charge. And then unfortunately, like, all the backroom dealing is just not part of the program. Like, that's, I don't know. It's a fuzzy idea, but I think that's, it is kind of the first glimpse of the possibility of a neutral arbiter like what God was supposed to be.
It's wild to think about how right now, like, these next several years will be like so important for how many morals are programmed into AI for the next hundreds or thousands of years. At least I think
Yeah,
so.
until people are gone,
Yeah,
Till we're
exactly.
and then beyond, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, or till we're living in utopia. I mean,
Right.
Utopia.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're living in utopia, right? Right, got it.
With the Sky Daddy.
I mean, it's interesting because with climate change, we clearly face the problem of selfishness with a lot of important actors, right? Like a lot of, and I don't mean Hollywood actors, but yeah. So a lot of people are
Leave
clearly
Clooney out of this.
Yeah, a lot of people are unwilling to take the kind of action that would be needed to ensure that their great-great-grandchildren have a good scene because, and I think there's a lot of rationalization around like using, in a lot of cases here we're talking about giant corporations. They have a responsibility to stockholders. In fact, they're legally
Right.
obliged to maximize profit.
Yeah.
And if they are seen to be doing otherwise, they can actually lose their jobs, and then, they're in no position to help anybody. So making environmentally friendly choices, quote unquote, is not as simple as a kid might think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
Being an
run
earnest
Exxon
actor.
or you run
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But it's I think we're in a real bind with that, with capitalism, with the important companies who need to change not being able to, essentially, no
Right.
matter how good-hearted everyone involved is.
Yeah.
And this could be the moment that we get to shake that up. Like this could be the way that gets kind of like if we get an AGI that everyone's like, wow, this is cool. We've got like a little man-made god here that can like analyze just all information at all
Right.
times, whatever. Tell
A
us,
little man-made
spit it
god.
out. spit it out to us.
And we've got the answer.
Yeah, and it's like, you must stop. You cannot maximize shareholder profit.
Come on.
You are destroying the planet.
I'm just not sure.
And everyone's like, well, we kind of already knew that, but we needed it from a source that we all agree is smart.
I'm not allowed to say that.
Yeah, we all kind of fucking already know this, you know? But we need a way to make everybody accept it and act on it. And we clearly just don't have it. Like, politics is preventing it. And the fact that it has to go through countries' legislatures, essentially.
Right.
And they're so fucking, gobbed up with money and self-interest and so forth. Like, no laws are getting passed around it at all. So yeah, if you're an executive at Exxon, like, I'm sympathetic. I don't think there is that much you can't just be like unilaterally like, well, actually, we're not going to do this profitable.
Sympathetic might be the wrong word, but I recognize your loophole.
You can quit.
I recognize your loophole.
You can quit. I don't know that it's. I believe it's hard to change a culture and also to act against profit if you're at a company whose whole.
I mean, I'm not entirely sure that a CEO at Exxon is really like sweating that they can't change the.
No, I agree.
Corporate trajectory.
If you guys had to work for one, like,
it would be Exxon or
complete
Philip
overlord.
Morris, Philip Morris. Philip
Took the
Morris.
words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Work for an overlord.
Like, you got to be like Jeff's right-hand man, Jeff Bezos' right-hand man, Donnie's right-hand man, Exxon overlord's right-hand man. Who do you pick?
I think I'd want to be close to AI. I'd want to be, which possibly right now is Facebook, like possibly being next to the Zuck.
Zucked up.
Or
He's the most
Microsoft.
robotic of the overlords, I feel like.
He may be operating AI. Yeah.
He may be our first. General intelligence. I think it's Google, Microsoft, or Meta, as Facebook calls itself now.
Oh, right.
I think that's where, like, there's a cusp in that world right now that would be pretty exciting to be, at least to watch happen. And if you could actually
it's a
affect
frontier
it,
for sure.
If you're saying, like, where would you want to be to exert your, moral beliefs, I think that'd be the place.
Do you think?
Because again, I don't think it would help to be at X. If put any of us in the fucking C-suite at Exxon, you can't do shit. You can't do fuck all. There may be some.
BP's gonna keep doing it, no matter what. Yeah, you and your company.
You're just gonna get fired if you make too many waves. I mean.
Yeah, it's a wild phenomenon how you can, like, start a massive company, like a Twitter or something, and then it's no longer yours in 7-8 years, and other people control it, and then you can get fired from your own company. So you can't stop inertia in
as
any
soon as
capacity.
you go public, profit maximization is essentially your legal duty.
Yeah.
Like, they can't put you in jail for not following it, but instead they just fire you. They probably can put you in jail if you're seen to be deliberately, quote, defrauding investors. I don't know if there might be situations like that, but
where would you take Zuckerberg if you're like, Zuckerberg loves We Are Scientists, he wants a night on the town in New York City? What do you guys do? Where do you take him?
Where do we take the Zuck?
There's got to be a laser tag in the city somewhere, right? Dave and Buster's?
Didn't we go to a laser tag for my birthday in Times Square like 20 years ago?
What?
Yeah. There's no way you weren't there. Do you not remember doing
no
laser
recollection.
tag
No.
in Times
I
Square?
don't believe I've ever done laser
I think
tag.
like the year after we moved here.
I don't think I've ever done laser tag. I sure wish I had.
Answer the
There's
question.
no way, how is it there's no way you wouldn't have been there.
I was probably at jury duty.
You might have had grand jury duty. I would want. I don't know what Zuckerberg is into. I don't know if he would he go? Does he drink beers?
I don't feel like he drinks beers.
Okay, so he's
like an Evan Smoke character.
he might be a
he wants to drink
cigar
like
guy. Super cool vodka.
The cleanest vodka there is.
he'll have one or maybe two.
He'll look at one and he'll push around the glass
So
a
then
little
that's
bit.
probably a bar that we don't even know about.
Yeah. Oh, he's definitely going to bars we don't know about.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying, like, where would we
Source this. Yeah.
Yeah, where or how would we find some kind of middle ground that he would
Right.
not just simply be turned off by?
Or that he then wouldn't be, emoting the entire time. Oh yes, I love this. It's so representative of the people.
I don't think that's
Stop
his,
saying that.
I don't think that's his vibe.
No, I know.
Yeah,
But
I
he'd
don't
have
think
to
he's-
say that if you took him to a place we like. Yes, of course.
If there
I
were
see.
cameras,
Yeah,
if there were no
right.
cameras, he'd probably just be like, "This is
He'd call his guy. The
Well,
SUV would drive.
how long
straight
do I
through
have
the
to do this?"
Plate glass window, pick him up.
Do you think Zuckerberg listens to music?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I bet he does. I bet he listens to EDM. I'm being a little
Imagine Dragons, maybe.
I'm thinking
He thinks
EDM.
they rock.
Well, rock meets EDM. Imagine Dragons.
bit. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt and saying EDM. I worry it could
I think
be
he's an Imagine Dragons boy.
Imagine Dragons.
How do we figure that? That's got it? He has to have accidentally made his taste public somewhere.
Yeah, he has to have done a playlist at some point,
Yeah.
like on Facebook.
Let's look
as
it up.
Yeah, check it out.
Ah, my phone's the camera.
Oh,
Fuck.
I can look it up. You tell us. Meanwhile, your take on Imagine Dragons, Newski.
Well, I know they started.
Grammy winners.
Yeah, I know they started as a Vegas play 4 hours a night act, so they got their chops up. Oh wow! I think my dad made me read an Imagine Dragons article when I was in like 9th grade because he was like, "You got to read this. These guys got good musical business sense," and I remember taking that away from it. Like they just got super tight, but they're like a secret Christian rock band.
They're Mormon.
Oh, Mormon.
Yeah.
Mormon
They're
rock.
Utah boys.
Mormon rock.
Mormons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Provo guys, huh?
Wait, were they the band that was like, now I'm getting off on the prison bus?
I've never
Ring the bell
heard
down."
that. Doesn't sound like Imagine Dragons
No.
to me.
The prison bus.
I remember listening. I don't remember what the interview host was, but I remember listening to an interview with the guy from Imagine Dragons who was really going out of his way to assert that he's the most famous Mormon in the world.
It's gotta be.
I don't. Brandon Flowers. What's his name?
Oh!
What's the Imagine Dragon guy's name? Tell
I
me.
don't know.
Yeah, you know Brandon Flowers' name.
is a Mormon, the guy from the Killers.
Of course he is.
No shit.
Of course he is.
Grew up in
Wow.
Knee high.
Yeah.
Knee high. Is that what it's called? Yeah.
I will
good
say,
call.
like, listening to the Killers over the years, like, and then seeing them live was like a really bizarre experience. Like, to me, he was like the Ryan Seacrest of rock and roll live. Like, I couldn't believe how many miles he covered on stage and like could sing really well while still running and exercising. But it was
He's
like
a very physically fit man.
I could
Yeah.
see why they're so massive. Like he's like the most unoffensive lead singer I've ever seen live. Like just a nice man.
Yeah.
Just like a nice man.
He
It might
definitely
as well
is.
would have been a mega church like watching it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Well, mega churches are popular for a reason.
But then Brian Ritchie from Violent Femmes told me, you gotta, Brandon Flowers loves, his favorite Violent Femmes song is Get in the Car. So we're gonna play that when we open for the Killers, which is a song about like, it's a questionable moral song.
Ah.
I mean, maybe you know that song, maybe not. Get in the car tonight. It's like a punk rock high school trying to get laid song. So maybe he's got a punk rock side to him. I don't know.
Lionel Richie's "Get Out of My Dreams, Get Into My Car."
Billy Ocean.
Oh, that's Billy Ocean.
Yeah.
Right. And then what's a Pink Cadillac? A lady
Oh, yeah.
talking about trying to get some fella into her car, into her pink Cadillac, and down the street, and in the back. That's
I
a
think that
rich
might be
vein
that
of
might be
music
Billy
history.
Ocean.
No, it's
kidding. I
a
don't
lady.
know.
I can't remember who it is. But guys, I don't know whether this is good news or bad news, but Mark Zuckerberg likes the same music you do.
Yeah.
He listens to Nirvana,
Nice.
Jay-Z, Daft Punk, Lady Gaga, and his favorite band of all time is Green Day. Apparently,
Whoa.
Billy Joe was the entertainer at his wedding in 2012.
Wow, I
Oh
love
my
Zuckerberg so
gosh.
much more now.
Oh my God.
You don't believe it.
I believe it. Sadly, I believe it.
That actually brings me a little bit more hope for the world.
Yeah.
Not me. Not me.
You
does,
wanted him
does
to
a
be
little bit of the
little more
opposite.
robotic.
Why did that deflate you so much, Keith Murray?
Hey, look, I'm not looking to talking to a mic, bad mouthing Billy Joe Armstrong. But that's where your question leads me. So I'm just gonna pause.
Have you had any Billy Joe Armstrong encounters?
Yeah.
We haven't. They were great.
Yeah.
Nice. I forget you guys are kind of famous. That's kind of cool.
We're huge on the Billy Joe Armstrong scene.
Huge.
We was that Bottom of the Hill?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a club in San Francisco that we the whole time we lived in Berkeley, we always wanted to play. It was like the coolest, but it was pretty much out of reach.
Yeah.
At that stage of the band, a club called Bottom of the Hill in San Francisco in the city. And we would go see bands there, and we're like, this fucking club. Brownies would become that club in New York City when we got to New York City. But Bottom of the Hill, out of reach. And then we played it a couple years later. When did we play it exactly?
I'm gonna guess 2002,
Okay. And
3.
Were you a band in 2002? We Were Scientists?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
2000, I guess we started.
Nice, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And so Billy Joe was there, and also one of the other guys?
Trey Cool.
Trey Cool, yeah. And Billy Joe and his wife were there, and they were both super nice and
Yeah.
bought merch.
Wait, they were at your show?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bought the merch.
Haphazardly, or they heard about you and were like, we got to see these guys?
They definitely heard about us and needed to see us.
Nice.
Who knows? Who knows how they ended up? Maybe they go to Bottom of the Hill every Thursday. Who knows? But they were showing up for small bands.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it was a PR move? Like,
Definitely not.
No?
We're
No-
any photographers
no
within
no
our
news
miles.
source heard about this.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
nice.
actually an expose right now.
Yeah. We have the
news.
scoop.
Breaking
Yeah.
news.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
And then did they buy? Did Billy Joe Armstrong buy merch from the merch table, or?
Yeah, I think he bought like kind of the shirt we had and the CD we had, the self-printed CD we had. That was about all we had in those days. Maybe we had 2 shirts. But,
Incredible.
and they were super like, but his wife was super nice and was
Yeah.
like, "You guys are gonna be great. You're gonna make it."
Trey Cool told our drummer he needed to buy a better drum kit. Famously.
Oh yeah. Nice. That's not very punk advice,
Yeah,
but,
but,
it is true
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah. I mean, keep in mind this was 2002, so I don't know how punk Green Day were.
I mean, that must have like inspired you guys. At least been a kick in the ass to keep going. No.
Didn't hurt.
Sure.
Didn't hurt.
Sure. Whatever you say.
Yeah.
I feel like Murray's got some inside intel. I can't wait to hear after the.
No.
Okay.
No,
all right.
no. I love Green Day.
All right. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. I don't feel like that juiced us necessarily.
How cool is it that it didn't juice you though? Like Billy Joe Armstrong comes to your show, you're like, whatever.
It was cool. We were psyched.
I mean, I think you're cooler that it didn't juice you. I'm
Didn't
like,
make us any
that's
better or
awesome.
worse that he was there
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
said nice things. Like you kind of you already know how good you are or aren't.
Right.
So for some famous person or a musician that you respect blows smoke up your ass or maybe is polite or even enthusiastic, you know exactly how good you are or aren't. It's not.
Sure. It is tough. I mean, to be honest, like the person in my life who knows the least about music is probably my mom, but she'll also tell me if something's shit or not. She's almost like
cool.
my most like notable, like most reliable source for if like something I'm doing is shot or not.
All right.
She'll be like, Brett, this is your worst album for sure.
Oh my god.
Or like, I
sucks.
like this song. And she's like listened to 4 records in her life, but I actually value her opinion in that regard because I know she doesn't blow smoke ever.
Yeah. And it's interesting to hear a relatively virgin take, somebody who's
Yeah.
not polluted by what's cool right now or what stuff's supposed to sound like, etc.
Yeah, I appreciate that about my folks. Like they always told me when I was shit at something. Like I remember I had a gig, like a covers gig at Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville in
Sick.
rural Madison, Wisconsin when I was like
Awesome.
20 years old. I wasn't even like old enough to drink, but I had to cover 3 hours.
Wow.
which was brutal. And I only knew maybe like 12 songs well, but and I had stretched 3 hours, and like I sucked, and and I didn't realize how bad I sucked, but they told me.
Oh,
They're like, you were really bad.
We didn't
tonight.
like that.
And I remember how soul crushing that felt, but it was like really necessary, you know.
Well, was it a kick in the pants that inspired you to like do a big montage of training and working on all your chords and everything, or?
I think it just made me realize I have to like get better live, learn more songs, not play at Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, and things actually did get a lot better from there. But I mean, it was $400 in 2000 and
Yeah, as a youngster too. Yeah,
In 2024,
boy?
that's 80 grand.
that's 80 grand. Yeah.
the conversion of me making 80 grand at Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville when I was 20 years old. I mean, it was great. You know,
That's your year done.
yeah, it was good.
And you had to take it.
So as we wind down, we've been riffing a while. What do you guys?
As we ramp up, you mean?
No, God.
What are you pumped about the future of We Are Scientists?
I'm excited about living, laughing, and loving.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
Thank you. I can't. Yeah.
That could be a nice like T-shirt.
I've started making like wall prints
Oh,
for that. Yeah.
like a permanent. It goes on your wallpaper.
No, you would hang this.
Oh, you hang it.
You'll want to take it down eventually. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, well, yeah.
Terrible answer.
Yeah, I'm not against living, laughing, and loving, but it's not what's jazzing me up right now. God, I don't know, though. That said, I don't know what is exciting anymore.
It's good to not know about the future.
Yeah.
You know, if you knew it was going to happen, it'd be no fun.
Yeah, I'm really I'm feeling very like poised over a chasm right now. Not
does a
personally in
chasm
terms
mean?
of We Are Scientists, just like an abyss, a giant drop. Just as a society, I feel like the shit going on in the Middle East, the shit going on in our election. I'm very like, whoa, are we in the final days?
It could
So-
go anywhere.
Yeah, no.
Could go anywhere.
Yeah. I'm still enjoying making music, though, and writing stuff and recording stuff for our Substack, for your Dirt on the Road. But yeah, it's weird. It's hard to think 5 years ahead right now.
It's true.
I think the most you can think ahead is like 6 months. Anything beyond
Yeah.
that is not possible. You know, you can have sort of a little bit of a plan for your own sense of security, but it's not worth planning beyond that. It's too much.
Certainly,
too vast.
Certainly in 2024,
Yeah.
February 2024, to plan more than 6 months ahead is to waste your goddamn time.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
this is easily the drunkest I've ever been on a podcast. and
Nice.
It's been an honor. Thanks
Wonderful.
thanks for teaming up. Love you guys big time.
Buddy,
Good job.
let's keep doing it.